Okay, so welcome to the data analytics training. So today we're going to be looking at how we can create questions, put our questions into Google Form or Kobo Toolbox, SurveyMonkey, any of those other formats. Then we also see how to enter that data into SPSS and now run some basic analysis. Okay, so I was talking about the different types of data. Your data can be in secondary format in the sense that the IT team already have the data in CSV, command type separated values, or in SQL, that's structured query language. The format where most databases have their data, if you export them, like MongoDB, SQL Server, MySQL, all of those databases, most of them, you have an option to export your data in SQL format. So CSV, SQL, or XLS, that is the old version of Excel format from 2007 backwards. Then from 2010 upwards, the format is in XLXS, right? It's an Excel format. So you have your data, which you can now import into SPSS or any of your analytic tools like Python, Kobo, what was it called? Tableau, Power BI, all of those softwares. So, but that's case, your data is in secondary format in the sense that you already have the data down. If you don't have the data down and you have to conduct the survey or conduct the analysis end to end, that means you are the one to define the objective or the objective is already defined, then you are going to now create the questions for the objectives, then collect the data, import the data into SPSS or analyze or enter the data, then analyze the data, do your report, and now make your findings or your conclusion. So if you're going to be involved end to end, it then means that you will need to do your questions and put them online for people to fill, for people to enter those data. Then before you now even talk about entry data into SPSS. I don't know if everybody gets me right.
Yes, sir.
So you call this primary data. So you are going to be the one involved in getting your data. So when you get data yourself, it's called primary data. When it is gotten through other means that is already there, so you call it secondary. So primary versus secondary research or primary versus secondary data. So primary research usually costs more and often takes longer to conduct than secondary research, but it gives more conclusive results. If I change this to data, right? So primary data refers to first-hand data gathered by the researcher himself or herself, right? So this data, you are getting the data by yourself, right? Whereas in secondary data, the data is already collected by somebody else, right? So you are just getting the CSV file or XLS file or SQL file to now use your tool like SPSS and Python want to learn to do your analysis. Hope that's clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Onya, are you following? Carlo, are you following?
Yes, sir.
Obiora, are you following?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So now there are several tools we could use to do primary data collection. So we understand that questionnaire, it's one way we could use to collect data. So we call it a data collection tool. So the point is that most of the times you might need to do the questionnaire and now give people physically for them to fill. But at times it can be exhausting. It can cost a lot of money. So depending on how you're going to be collecting your data, it might make sense for you to do the questionnaire, put it in an online format and send out. That way you have people from different walks of life, from different sectors, from different areas, depending on the niche, the kind of survey you are conducting. They can fill your form for you. You allow 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, or even a week. You have up to 2, 3, 4, 500 results. Depending on what your sample size is, then you can now do your pilot survey, then now do your actual survey and analysis. Now, if you want to use there are several tools. You could use Google Forms. So you could just say forms.google.com to bring it to an interface like this. All you need to do to use Google Forms is for you to have a Gmail account. If you are not signed in, it will ask you to sign in, right? So if I sign out, let me sign out from all my accounts. Sign out all accounts. Let me wait for that to happen. So Google Forms is one way to collect data. Then Kobo Toolbox. If I have time, Toolbox. If I have time, I'll do a separate record for this and just send to you guys. It's a very nice tool also to use to collect data. Then you have Microsoft Forms. You have SurveyMonkey, Kobo Toolbox. Powerful and intuitive data collection tools to make impact. So this is even very, very robust, very highly robust, right? The goal is just to put some questions, have a link, send a link to people. People can now fill the form. The advantage of Google Toolbox I see over the years using it compared to Google Form. So you say forms.google.com. Form is a type of Google Doc. So it's now telling me I should sign in. So I click on this. So it brings me to, so while that is going on, so Kobo Toolbox, one of the advantages that you could use to collect geographical or geo locations. Take, for instance, if you are conducting a survey, I need to know the geographical location, the latitude and longitude of that particular person. It's possible so that you can now do a map of that data when you want to do some kind of geospatial map. So that's one big advantage of Kobo Toolbox. So most NGOs, if you are to consult or work for some NGOs, you could create very powerful forms. You could, on the go, do some analysis, even without exporting it to another tool. You could do some kind of collaboration, right? Google Forms gives us that ability also. See, I'm signed in, so it gives me this environment. So I say forms.google.com. So it brings me to this environment once I'm signed in. So what's it called? Google Form, I have not used it. I doubt it has that capacity to give me geographical location of a person. For this tool, you could get the geographical location of the person. This tool also gives possibility that you could do, you could ask people questions based on the reply they give. So there's a lot of logic you can impute into using Kobo Toolbox. I think we will consider it sometime within our training. So imagine if I say I am male, you ask question, male or female. For the fact that I respond male, you can have set of questions for people that reply male. Are we together?
Yes, sir.
If I say female, or if my educational qualification is PhD, you might have some set of questions you ask if I am PhD, and some set of questions you could ask if I was an undergraduate. So that's how powerful Kobo Toolbox can be. I will create a separate video. So, but if you can do this, you can always do any of the other tools to collect data. SurveyMonkey is another one. I've known this for more than 15 years, right? They have the premium version. Most very big companies use them to run surveys. It's majorly premium. You could have some free versions. At the end of the day, all we want to do is just to put our questions into an online format, generate a link, and send to people so that people can fill without us physically going to give them the questions one after the other. That's what all of these tools do. Microsoft have theirs also. Microsoft Forms, they have theirs also. So you could test them out, just register for the free account. You could use it to create surveys, quizzes, and polls, right? Okay, so our focus is going to be Google Forms. So I'll close all of this. So I mentioned 4 tools you could use to do data collection: Microsoft Forms, SurveyMonkey, Google Forms, and Kobo Toolbox. Let me drop that in the chat box so that if you are taking notes, you could do that. Questions so far you could ask before I start. Microsoft Forms, Kobo Toolbox, SurveyMonkey, Google Forms. Okay, so it's in the chat box. You could check it up on the call. Okay, so I have a question here I want to code. The importance of physical library in schools. So it then means that we have digital library, we have physical library. So we want to look at the importance of physical library. My name is Chukwuechi, a data science student. The questionnaire is basically for the collection of data and giving correct answers to the question. So I love this intro. An intro is very important so that it gives people reason to kind of fill your form. So I love the fact that also is sectionalized. I have section 1 for biodata, section 2 for knowledge library, and I think section 3 for opinion on the impact of the library. So I will go to the form. So I'll pick each of the questions and enter it into the Google form. So this is the title of the form. I will go to Google form. I create a blank form. It has some templates anyway, but we'll just start creating a blank form. Title of the form. We just paste this. So it's good that your form is already done. So you enter this stuff very, very fast. Importance of this, an intro. Enter my intro. So that's the description. You could do that in the description area. So you have the form title, right? You have the description, and you can actually bold. It has a WYSIWYG area. See, all of these improvements was not there as at 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago. So Google Form is always improving. Any of those tools I mentioned, they're always improving to make sure that people can create more awesome forms. You could enter, look at this WYSIWYG. WYSIWYG is what you see is what you get. What you see is what you get. WYSIWYG, right? So it gives you opportunity to edit just like you have a Microsoft Word. So thank you. Okay, I'm going to take that off. So I've created the title, the intro. Now you have question type. So the first question is what? The first section is a correspondent personal information. So I will go to, maybe I can add a section, add section. Are we together? Are you seeing this particular button? You can unmute yourself and answer.
Yes, I'm seeing it.
Okay, good. So the environment is, as we go on doing the questions, we'll touch on all the different items. I don't just want to talk about the items. I want to do the questions so that you see how each of those items are applied. You see this section? So you see this is section. So that means this is section 1. This is section 2. So this is section 1. So my first question is okay, I think let me drag. It's possible to also drag. Let me drag. Okay, let me do that later on. Let me just face the questions first of all. Gender. That's the first question. So it's good to ask people questions, right? It's not good to make your question statements. Ask them like, what's your gender? What's your gender, right? Let it be a question. Let it not be a statement, right? What's your gender? Option 1, male. Option 2, you see suggesting female. Third one, prefer not to say, but you don't want that. Other is also suggesting, so you don't want that. So for each question, you see that you have different types of formats. I bet you 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, it wasn't this way. You have different types of questions. So you have short answer, paragraph, multiple choice, checkbox. Short answer is when you want to ask questions like make a statement or something. Paragraph is if it's going to be longer. Multiple choice if you want to have different options. Checkbox if you want them to indicate more than one. For this one, they just choose only one answer. For this, if you want it to be a drop down, if you want to ask for their picture, their whatever. Awesome. I'm just seeing this feature now, Likert scale or linear scale. Google didn't have this before, so they've now added it, where you have a scale whereby people can choose a degree of response. Then you have multi-choice grid, then you have checkbox grid, and of course you have date and you have time. So this is going to be a multiple choice question. Then we'll move to the second question, which is age range. So I add a question. What's your age range? What is your age range? So let me attempt this linear scale and see. Okay, good. 40. Okay, I have below 14 years. So let me choose this as 0 to 14. Let me see if I can type. It's not giving me that option. Okay, I think this is best for when you have degrees 0 to 10, right? So this will not apply to us. So we'll just pick multiple choice and say below 14 years. Next one will be 15 to 20 years. Next one will be 21 to 30 years. Next one will be 31 years and above. 31 years and above, right? You see that one that is 1 to 10 is if you need to take a scale between 0 to 10, right? And so that's when that applies. When you want to say, okay, like what is your interest or what is your blah 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 on a scale of 0 to 10, then people pick an option. I think that's where that one applies. So the next question is level of education. What's your level of education? Add a question. Right? What is your level of education? It's still multiple choice. Below secondary school. Secondary school level. We'll talk about that later on. My interest is to now just put in these answers. Undergraduate, then graduate. I guess it's very straightforward. No questions so far. Graduates, master and above. Graduates, master and above. I don't think you should have none. Is it possible? Below secondary school, undergraduate, graduate, master and above. I think that's exhaustive enough.
Yes.
Oyin.
Yes, sir.
Aha. So if you say none, which kind of education would that one be?
It was made for people, maybe they just got the questionnaire and they don't have any formal education.
I think that would be below secondary school.
Below secondary school, yes.
Okay.
Okay, so move to the next question. Mode of study. Okay, how did you school? Now you see, let me add the question. It's good to like explain. Let your questions be as explanatory as possible. What mode of education did you take? Or what was your mode of education? right? What is your mode of education? Either in the past or present. In the past or present. Okay, so questions, online study, physical study, then no. Now, I don't think there's any reason for us to have none, because it's either you're doing online or you're doing physical, or you won't be asking hybrid, both online and what's it called? Both online study, both online and physical study. Physical study. Okay, I think we are getting the flow of the questionnaire. Hello, everybody. Hope we're getting the flow of the questionnaire.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Okay, good. So I will go for a 5 minutes break. I will return, continue the questionnaire, and I'll tell us how to put that into SPSS. But let us see progress of what we've done so far. I just need to tap on this button, send, tap on link, shorten the URL, and this is what I'm going to be giving to anybody that needs to fill this form. I have option of sending to somebody's email. I have option of generating a link. I have option of embedding on a website. So I will copy this link, drop in the chat, and you guys check up how it looks like. I'll return in 5 minutes, then we continue with the questionnaire. And the good thing is that for every questionnaire that you do, you can always come back to it. As it is now, it's saving automatically. If I say forms.google.com and leave this environment, I will see it as my list of forms. Are we together?
Yes, sir.
So I can easily click on it and write on coding. So see the form, look at what it looks like. You could put a picture background, you could put a heading, you could put a logo, so many things you could do, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, catch you guys in 5 minutes.
Right, sir.